How's it going? Welcome back, and dare I say it, we might even have a video with some hardtail content going on. Everything else has managed to get in the way, but hopefully get something done this time. And that something is the headlight mount, which I think was the last kind of the idea I had on the last, however long ago it was, video for doing it. So quick recap: we've got the well, this is just the back shell, but the Easy Riders tiny little 4.5 inch headlight, aluminium headlight, which I'm quite keen on using. I picked this up pretty cheap on eBay, quite a lucky little find, and I've got to make a block or something to fit in there. It's got the Motone one that's on there at the moment. I'll maybe put up a picture of that now. So there we go, so that's the Motone bracket, M10 kind of slot there. So the light's going to go somewhere along there. So that's got the little slot in it to slide up and down. So yeah, I just need something to go in there, and it's I don't really want to pay any money for it, so I'm going to have a little look around and make something a bit more bespoke. I haven't really got anything planned, so it could, who knows, we'll just see. I've just got to find a way of mounting this to the bike. Do I end up using the Motone bit? I'm designing and building it with the idea that I will use that, but who knows where this will go, but we'll see. As I said, I've got a 14mm gap in that block, so I've been going through the scrap bits to see what I've got, and I've got a nice flat bit of bar, but that is 13mm, so I'm going to be 0.5 mil either side, a bit short. And looking at that, the beefiness on that bracket, there's no flex in that to tighten up once, you know. So we could see, but I mean, maybe I can, because this is all nice and square, you see, so less work. The other chunk of billet alley I've got is an offcut from somewhere, and it's all at haphazard angles, so there's going to be a little bit more sanding and farting around to get that bang on nice flat edges. And obviously all I've got is files, my hands, the sander. That's it really. So so yeah, a little bit more fun, but maybe that'll make it a little bit more special. But I think I'm going to start by having a bit of a play around with the bar, just because that's going to be easier, and I can kind of work out how long the block needs to be and sit back. One of the things I am concerned about by using this is that slot in the Motone one is kind of pretty much bang on for an M10 bolt, and if I put an M10 on there, it's doable. It's doable if you imagine that's where it will mount through, but we're kind of close in terms of meat to put a cut thread into, so I kind of would rather be a bit bigger, but then it's going to get a bit more involved. But that's what it's all about, a bit of fun. Let's get nice curve to fit inside the headlight shell. So it's starting to take shape. So we're up to a 10.5mm hole for a 10mm bolt. Bit more shaping obviously on the curve at the top there, but other than that, I think we're ready to see how well the headlight bolt sits on it, and see if this stuff is going to be enough for the job, or whether it is going to be a bit too thin. Right, so it's close, but not close enough. Even when it's tightened down, that's not enough just to pull these in. These are pretty beef mounts. So I could put a couple of washers either side, very thin ones. I don't think I've got any that thin, but that kind of feels a little bit like cheating, and I still think we can make a better job. So I'm going to go straight in. I mean, I could still use that, but I think I'm going to go straight in with the chunk. That means I can still get my bigger M10 bolt in there, and then I can just hopefully file them flat so it just fits in, so it'll be a bit narrower there and then come out. We'll give it a go anyway. So I'm just going to start chopping this up. Don't know if I'm going to film it. I'll just get the angle grinder, chop it, see how it goes. Right, well, that's still a bit warm, but chopped through quite nicely, pretty straight as well, so then might just get shaping. Cool beans. So far so good. So we've gone from that hump to this now. I think I've managed to file and sand all the sides pretty much dead flat. This unfortunately was sort of not, but I think we're pretty much there now. I've still got a bit of shaping to do on the curve here to get that bang on. I don't know if that's going to pick up, but you can see it's not spot on. We're still a bit out there, but that's still kind of rough cut. I'm just drawing around this washer to get a nice curve on it. But we'll carry on. I'll probably take the edges off because they're kind of razor sharp at the moment. But yeah, so not entirely sure yet how. Well, we've got a long way to go yet. Actually, I could still quite easily cock all this up. Not sure how long that's going to be. I want enough. It's got to be long enough. I want it to sit close in, but obviously it's got to be long enough to take the bolt and have some thread. And we've got a bolt going through there. So, but we can work that out as we go along. I've also got to drill that straight and tap it, so I don't mess that up. And then this kind of area, or in fact, the kind of if you like, the washer area here, I'm going to have to try and get that on both sides down, so we end up with like a 14mm gap for it to slot into, and then it'll come out. Because at the moment we're at so it's focus because I can't even see. 15, 16, 17, about 18, so about 2 mil off that section there and that section there. But yeah, we're getting there. It's starting to take shape. Well, that's actually pretty much bang on. It's a bit scary now actually, because I'm so happy with that. That is sort of perfect. So I've got to do the tricky stuff now. I think I'm going to drill the whole. I was going to say I could go all the way through, or just down to there. I'll maybe try and stop just before there, before I get to that. But it's no drama, I don't think, if it goes all the way through. But I should be able to stop. So that, which in theory shouldn't be too difficult, just get the centre and then all the way down. The bit that I'm going to be thinking about is how am I going to just thin off that face there by a couple of mil. But we'll see. I'm not entirely sure yet how much of this length. Should really go and offer it up to the bike and have a look, actually. Maybe that might be the next best thing to do. Okay, so that'll end up going about there. So far out that makes it, so we could probably afford to go in a little bit more, maybe a touch more, but probably not too much. So I'm looking at it, if I instead of using this section, just got a block there, quite liking it about there, a bit lower. We might end up using a different mounting bracket altogether. Bit of food for thought there. Just going to get it round to this angle for you. Probably not the best because I'm trying to balance everything, but so if I didn't have that bracket, maybe just a rectangular bar there. That went there. That there. So the light would be sat about there. Far right. Yeah. Right then, following morning, so I've had a bit of time to think over my options with where I can go next. So I've got the headlight mount, pretty much that will be it in some respect, unless I mess it all up now. So the initial plan was to take the Motone bottom mount bracket, it's a nicely, beautifully done bit of kit, and then that would obviously mount on there, and whether it would be that long, not sure yet. It might be a bit closer in, but obviously to fit the headlight to it, we need to make it a bit thinner there. So I'm keeping it fatter at that end to accept an M10 bolt that will fit in there, but then I'm going to have to find a nice way of thinning this area down by, I think it was like about 1 mil each side, or was it 2 mil? Can't remember, we'll check that out. So in offering it up, I did wonder what it would look like if it was mounted, as you saw probably in that bit of video, not like that on the piss, but mounted there. So just literally where those two mounting points are, mount it there. I can cut a slight edge in there maybe to angle it up, just to, that's getting into the aesthetics of it. Let's work out how we're going to mount it first. So if I'm going to do that, and I don't need the sort of M10 slot, I could just cut that off and put in a smaller hole there. Now if I did that, I kind of don't really want to just chew up a perfectly good bracket, so I'm thinking take a bit of aluminium bar like that, and I can cut, because all I need is a small sort of rectangle bit that's going to go between those two holes, and I can mount that straight on. Now I can make that a bit thinner so it's the same width as this bottom plate of that, so that just makes it quite a clean, neat bracket, and I'm kind of gearing towards that. So if I'm doing that, this whole keeping it thick for an M10 bolt doesn't really come into play, because I could use probably 2 slightly smaller bolts and countersink them in the back of that to hold that on, and I think that would be equally as good. So in that case, what would make my life a lot easier is if I just had that up against the sander and sanded this flat so it goes in there, which I think could work. And I'm kind of tempted to go with that purely because I haven't got a, or I haven't decided yet how I'm going to effectively if you like, almost machine those sides down neatly, and obviously that's got to be a good job. So it'll make that piece look a bit more intricate, which is a little bit of an appeal. I mean, been thinking I could always take something like that in the pillar drill. I don't know if that's going to be man enough to grind down, but kind of almost use that to sand it flat, because I haven't really got anywhere I can flat sand that on there. I was thinking about getting one of the router bits, wood router bits, and just seeing what that's like, having that in the pillar drill and just coming down and just, because it's not like I'm machining, you know, needing an XY kind of movement. I just need to really just take that edge off. Could do with a file, but I'm thinking I don't really need to do all that if I end up using that. So I've got to work out what I'm going to do, because there's a point where the cuts I make are going to dictate which way I go. So that's enough waffling. I think I'm just going to start playing. I think I'm going to cut a mounting block plate for that first, and just see how that looks and see how I feel about that, and go from there. Right then, so I think the way gut instinct is telling me I'm going to make my own bracket for the mount as well, so this will be sort of one piece to replace that one, and a couple of reasons why I've got to this point now. I had a little play around to see what I've got in the shed, some old router bits and whatnot, see if I could almost machine down a bit of a face off that to slot it on this piece. And to be honest, after what I've got in there, to get to this point, what I've got in terms of bits and pieces to hand at the moment, I'm not getting predictable enough decent results. The small router bit in the drill bit wasn't too bad, but then again I've got to keep, it's a small one, and I've got to keep gauging the depth, and obviously I haven't got anything to move the piece, so it's putting a lot, you know, there's quite a lot of side load on the drill press, which they're not designed for really. So I think I would just end up messing this up if I was to try doing that at the moment. So the easiest thing I think would be to just machine the whole of this, sand it down to a thinner, slightly thinner, so it's only a few mil I think, but in doing that means I can probably use two I don't know, M6 holes or whatever. So I've just cut down a piece of this, which was a bit, sorry about moving around all the time, so that was a bit bigger than what I wanted, so I've just cut it down so it's a bit thinner, and then obviously I'll round the edges off. I'm toying with the idea I might, when I've done it, is just put a bit of a edge, so it actually goes sort of up at an angle a little bit. I think that'll just be a little bit more groovy than just a flat piece. I don't know, we'll see. So that's, I'll just have a look at the positioning, but I thought I'd just get this drilled out, start shaping this piece up, then I think that all works out and is looking nice. Reduce the width of this so it fits, that's where it could all go properly wrong, or one of the places, and then yeah, as I say, I think two M6 countersunk bolts behind that, tapped into there, should do the job nicely. Right, so we're getting very close to the edge now, so I just basically angle grinded off most of the meat, obviously measured out the 40mm, angle grinded most of the meat off, and now I'm just doing the final sanding to get it flat down there, but still quite hot. But I'm getting to that close point now where a little bit, just a little bit as we go, because we don't want to overcook it. So slowly catchy monkey, and we're there. So there we go, nice and tight. It's not even, that's just finger tight with the screw on there. So we're all nice and flat, all squared up, curves working. So let's go and nip inside now. Just offer that up to the front of the bike, have a look what it looks like, and then decide what we're going to do in terms of drilling and tapping this bit and maybe cutting it at an angle. Who knows? Let's go and have a look. Okay, so there's the bottom piece on. So if we just get it the angle at the side there. So from the side at the moment, if that was to come straight out, so it feels like it is sticking out a little bit too far. Probably be happier there. Height wise, that's okay. I'm thinking if I do angle it, take this corner off here, so it will kind of be up a touch more, which I don't think's too much of an issue. Straight on, it's there. Up a little bit, it's going to be about there, which I think's about right. So I think we just need to drill and tap the holes. So I think it's probably sticking out a bit too far at the moment there. But yeah, let's do that and then make the final adjustments. Okay, and as is always the way, I've slightly adapted and changed my plan. So I've drilled out and the original bracket. I was going to just pop some of those, two of those in. On there, and then obviously I haven't drilled this yet. Bolt that down on there, and that was going to kind of be the bracket, but this just felt a bit too big and bulky. So I thought, so I've just drawn on there. I don't know if that's going to pick up that line there. So basically, that will, if I cut that off, if you imagine that's how it will sit on the bracket, so at a bit more of an angle, which I think will look better. So, and as you can see, this original bit of stock bar that I had, where I'd spent time thinning that one down to have it that length, obviously that distance there is going to be bigger, which just so happens to be though, it's about 1.25 inches of the bar there. So I've decided to cut another piece, this one, and shape it again and round it up. So this one can be the one I'll use when I've chopped that down. So the next job is to chop this. That's how that's going to look. So just cut that down now. So I've still got to drill the holes here and here and tap them. I think I'll probably still go with that kind of countersunk just to make it nice and clean. But quite a beefy bracket. Yeah, I'm just wondering whether I'm going to open up a little bit of those holes there, so if I'm using the socket head screws, they can just drop down into them a bit more. So kind of got that nice look that the Motone one had as well. But pretty much run out of time now, so that's kind of it. It's taken me a lot longer to get this done. It's yeah, but so far I'm pretty pleased with the outcome. It's coming together quite nicely. So there's still a bit more finishing and finalising to do on it. I can't believe a headlight mount rather has taken as long as it has, but it's kind of took a step forward and then went back and changed my kind of plan a little bit, but that's the whole fun of it, isn't it? So yeah, we're not gonna get a chance to see it on the bike, unfortunately, but I'm pretty pleased with the way that's going to turn out. So as long as I don't mess up drilling my holes and tapping them, yeah, quite pleased. Just by hand sanding that is pretty squared. So yay, happy days. Well, that's that. We'll finish this in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. See you next time.